Okay. Thank you for joining us today. You're welcome to this webinar by the Gemstones Miners and Marketers Association of Nigeria. So I think this is our second webinar during this since the beginning of this coronavirus, and today with our member. So before that, we'd like to have an opening statement from the national coordinator of the association in person of Professor Adesoji Adeshubu.
Yes, good morning, everybody, and you're welcome to this webinar. You will agree with me that it is time that we need to be adding value to our gemstones and our jewelry materials instead of taking them abroad to other climates where they now cost millions and millions of dollars. It is trite knowledge that Nigeria is well endowed. We have no doubt about that. It is also trite knowledge that we lack the capacity. So what we have been trying to do with GMMAN and of course the Gemological Institute is to try as much as possible within our own limits to try to encourage education in the gem and jewelry industry. We believe that there's so many opportunities that are available for our people. We also believe that we should encourage our people to use our own gemstones in adorning jewelry materials. For some of us that have visited different exhibitions outside the country, we are amazed at what our gemstones and materials from Nigeria have been turned into. We are very sure that we can do this at home, but we can't. If we don't improve ourselves. There are so many people who have no jobs right now. We believe that by improving skills from people, we should be able to have a very vibrant sector of jewelry, a vibrant jewelry sector. We want to turn Nigeria into a place where people come to buy finished jewelry and not just roughs to take outside the country. And that is, man, we're trying as much as possible to encourage capacity development. And we are very happy to have a speaker today who is one person, Zephaniah, that we are all proud of in the gemstone cutting business. Let me allow you to enjoy today's topic, and I'm sure you will leave here happy that you are part of this session. Thank you very much.
Okay, Prof. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opening speech. So we'll go straight to the presentation by Reverend Zephaniah Ndaja. We are looking at our topic, maximizing a gem design for best performance. Just as Prof stated earlier, it is not hidden that Nigeria is endowed with a lot of gemstones, but at the same time, it's also very important for us to be able to add value to these gemstones so that by the time we take them out of the country, we can gain more from it rather than just taking them out of the country. They are raw forms. So we have a Reverend Zephaniah Ndaja here today to take us through this webinar for staff Peseta, an equipment distributor that is member of the association, Gemstones, into the presentation by Reverend points on the slides, why we make a lot of explanation on it. Okay. So, Reverend, you can take it up from here, but you need to unmute your speaker.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
This is what.
Okay, thank you. All right. Good morning, Prof, and good morning, Tinu, and everybody in the house.
Reverend, you're welcome.
All right. Thank you very much. Today we're discussing maximizing a gem design for the best performance. So everything about gemstones is to give it a very good cut and very good finishing before you market it. Because the world is now a world of competition, and we just have to compete favorably with other facettas and cutters, in the world. Because if we don't compete very well, our stones are not going to be marketable, and the pricing will be very, very, very low. So it's very, very important for especially our young cutters to understand that a gem design has so many sides to it, and it's not every stone you pick that you just cut in whatever design that you want to cut it. No, there are certain rules that you need to follow in order for you to get the best out of that gemstone that you are cutting. Somebody may cut a piece of material and it weighs 5 carats, and another person will cut the same piece of material and weighs the same 5 carat, and one person can sell his own at $1,000 and another person can sell his own for $100. So why we make that difference is the job you did on the stone. So it's very important for us to understand what we need to do in cutting a gemstone, because everything that we try to do, we want to develop, the sector, the ultimate goal is to have good quality cut stones that we can put in the market and be proud of what we have put in the market, and it becomes profitable for us just like any other country in the world. A lot of gemstones in the world are supplied by third world countries, just like us. But many times, even our stones are given names of other sources instead of our own country, just because we have not been able to develop a very sound productive sector in the gemstone sector. So today we are discussing on how to maximize a gem design. So Tinu, are you in the house? Hello, Tinu. Hello.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
you can go ahead.
So you are going to be our guide for today. So you'll be giving us the topics for discussion, and I'll be taking it one by one.
Okay. So the screen is being shared. So let's just move to the next slide.
Yes. So what is the first topic we have to discuss today?
What are gemstone designs?
Okay. Now that's the first most important question that we need to discuss today. What are gemstone designs? Gemstone designs are mathematical diagrams on paper that we transform into a 3D model. So it's as simple as that. Many designs are there on the internet, and that is where, especially our young facettas are very fortunate today that there are a lot of gemstone designs on the internet. But you need to understand how to select those designs and use them for different materials and for different color shades of stones also. So a gemstone design is very, very important and very vital, especially when you are just an upcoming facetter, because those designs will guide you on what to do, and those designs can really, really assist you and help you and bringing out a very good cut stones. So most of the designs that you get on the internet are called precision diagrams, but not all of them are precision diagrams also. So you need to understand which one is a precision diagram and which one is not a precision diagram. For example, one of the ways you can be able to differentiate between a precision diagram and a non-precision diagram is you look at the gedu. Any cut that does not have a faceted gedu is not likely to be a precision cut. But those designs also, it doesn't mean that they don't perform and they don't bring out brilliance in stones. It's just that they do not have perfect meets like the precision designs. And usually I prefer that experienced facetters can cut those designs rather than upcoming facetters, because it will give a lot of problems, especially in placing their angles and their facets. So a gemstone design comprises the mathematics of geometry and the physics of light. So those are the things taken into consideration to create a gem design. We will go into that in more details as in the. So after knowing what a gemstone design is, then we'll now go to the next stage. So what is our next topic of discussion, Tinu? Hello, Tinu, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. It's coming up. They are sharing
Okay, so
the
what?
screen. Now, share the
Okay,
next slide, please.
Yes. So
What are precision diagrams?
This is a picture of a diagram and a cut stone that has been cut according to the specification on this diagram. So now the diagram that is showing on the screen is a square cut, and not all square cuts will give you the same facets on every size. So you can see that this one, this is the picture. So other, they will go further than this, and they will give you the computer aided ray tracing in that stone. So if you see the ray trace pictures on a diagram, there will usually be three pictures. One is the random light, the other one is ISO, and the other one is the cosine of it. So they will give three pictures. So all this is just in a bit to assist you to have an idea of what your stone will look like when it is finished, when it is done, when you have finished cutting it and polishing it, how it will look like. So it's very, very important for you to understand how your stone will look like before you begin the cutting. So a precision diagram is a diagram that has all the geometric and optical indices written down and tested. So most of these diagrams are CAD diagrams, which is computer aided diagrams. So with the invention of the computer now, we are, our job is made easier. You can test a design. If you have the CAD app, you can be able to test a design, to feed a design into your computer and see how it will look like, when you finish cutting it. So if you are cutting a design in different materials, they will also give you, the behavior of the stone when it is cut in different materials. For example, if you have a design and you want to cut the same design in a quartz or a zircon, you feed that design into a computer, it's going to give you, two different kinds of reflections, two different light place, two different, level of refraction, and so on and so forth, because the zircon and the quartz do not have the same optical properties. So this is what we call a precision diagram. So let's move on to the next topic.
Okay.
So now, selecting a design for a particular stone. So when you are going to when you see a design and you love it as a young facetter or even as an experienced facetter, on paper, you may like that design. It may be fascinating to you, but after finishing, it may appear to be different. You can get unpleasant or pleasant surprises from any design that you cut. So you need to know how to select a design for the particular stone that you want to cut. For example, if you have a design, and usually the designer will tell you that this design is for RI so and so. For example, if it is suitable for quartz, if it was designed for a quartz, which means you can cut your crystal quartz, your amethyst, your citrine in that design, they will tell you it's for RI 1.454. So if it is for RI 1.54, you now need to take, you now need to take, you need to note the angles on the pavilion particularly, because the angles on the pavilion are going to determine the beauty of your stone. The angles on the pavilion are going to determine the reflection that comes from your stone. So if it is for RI 1.54, for example, then the lowest angle on the pavilion is likely to be between 43 and 41 degrees. So the lowest angle on the pavilion is likely to be between 41 and 43 degrees. So if you are going to cut the same design in a tourmaline, which has an RI of 1.62, you must adjust the angles on the pavilion, because if you cut a tourmaline, let's say on 43 degrees, it will be too deep and some light may leak out of your stone. So the best thing you do is maybe you minus 2 degrees from the pavilion angles and then proceed from there, so that it will accommodate, because the critical angle of tourmaline is about 38 degrees. So the difference between 38 and 43 is much. So that is why you will not have to use those angles of, let's say, 43 degrees. If it is 41 degrees, it is okay. You can be able to use that is very, very, very vital, because it is the pavilion that is actually the key to the performance of your stone when it is finished. So before we go further, let me the picture of the stone that is on the screen right now. Actually, this is a step cut stone, and it looks like an aquamarine. Okay, it is not a precision cut. It is a step cut stone. I think it's a pear-shaped stone. So, but when you look at, if you are able to turn this stone upside down and look straight from the crown to the pavilion, you will see that the deepest colors are on the sides. The deepest color are close to the girdle rather than the middle of the stone. Why? It's because of what I just explained now. The reason is because the bottom of the stone has very low angles, almost flat. The bottom of the stone has angle of less than 40 degrees. And the way I see it from here, it may be even between 35, to 39 degrees or so. And in aquamarine, the refractive index of aquamarine is 1.56, very close to that, of course. And you usually need to cut the lowest angle on aquamarine at 41 degrees, and then it will give you a very good reflection, and the color will be preserved. But if the middle of the stone, that is the apex of the pavilion, which we call the collet, does not reflect directly to the table of your stone, the color will be washed off from the center to the sides of the stone, and which is not good. Your color should reflect from the middle and spread across the stone, so that even if you have little color in the stone, once the color is on top of the tip of the pavilion, it's going to distribute the color across the length and breadth of the stone, and the stone will have uniform color and it will be beautiful. So that is very vital for you before you select a design for your court. All right, we can move on. Okay, that's the diagram showing the different parts of the stone. Good. Selecting angles of cutting, very, very important. Okay, let me just speak on selecting angles of cutting. Like the picture we have seen here is a round brilliant, and it is the most common cut that we have in gem cutting. Actually, this was developed for diamonds, but it's later turned out to be the best design you can cut in a stone, and it is the simplest to cut, and it is very, very, it is the commonest cut, and it's the most popular cut in all of gem cuts. So, as I said before, the angles on your pavilion, they are the key to the stones. So from the picture that we see, we can see the table, the crown, the girdle, the collet. You see the pavilion, everything is labeled. So now the angles that you see on the pavilion, like arrowheads pointing down to the tip, are called the main angles. Then the larger triangular facets are called the break facets. Okay, so the longer ones, thinner, slender arrowheads are called the main facets, and the wider triangular facets are called the break facets or the girdle facets, because actually they are the ones that bring out the girdle outline of whatever cut that you are doing. And then you see the same thing on the crown. You have the triangular facets on the girdle, and you have also a large arrowhead facets, which are the main facets. So now, when you look at the crown, there's also a third set of facets. We call those ones the star facets. So now, when you look at the design of the crown and the pavilion, if you have a knowledge of geometry, you see that there are corresponding sides. So those sides are called the facets. Okay, so the stone on the design that we have here, the round brilliant, has a 16 mirror symmetry, because it has 16 equal sides. So it's a round polygon that has 16 sides. And on the crown and on the facets, the girdle facets correspond to each other. So those are the corresponding sides. Okay. Then you have what we call the corresponding angles. All the main facets have the same angles. They are cut on the same angles, so they are corresponding angles. And they are 8 on the pavilion and 8 on the crown. And each of them are cut correspondingly on the same angle. Same thing with the girdle facets or the break facets. That's why you see that they all have the same sizes, the same length, the same width, the same height. Everything is the same for any set of angles. All the main angles on the pavilion have the same length, the same width. They all have the same dimensions, so they correspond to each other. The break facets, the same thing. They have the same width, the same length, the same number of sides, and so on. So this is what a cutting, this is the importance of a cutting angle. So if you don't know how to set your angle on your machine, or if your machine is not accurate and the precision of your machine is compromised, then these angles are not going to correspond, because you may go to one side and it will cut deeper, and you go to another side, it will cut shallower, because the machine is not accurate. So also you need to serious about your machine. You need to understand how accurate your machine is. If your machine has a problem, make sure that you do a prompt correction. And sometimes it's not that the machine is not accurate or well assembled. Sometimes the process of cutting maybe some losing and different angles of cutting on the same sets of sides that you need to cut at the same sets of angle. So you need to also look after your machine and try to get a machine that is fairly accurate and has at least a good level of precision, so that you can be able to get, because when a buyer is going to buy your stone, one of the first things that they will do is they will turn your stone upside down and check the stone to see how the pavilion, how perfect the pavilion is. If your pavilion is not perfect, they will price it low, because they may say they want to go and recut it if they like the color and the clarity of the stone. So they may say they would like to go and recut it. So by so doing, they will bring down the value of your stone. So you have to take good care of your machine and make sure that your machine settings are good and are accurate. Then it will give you good combination of angles, and your stone is going to have a very good performance. So let's move forward. Okay, now, one of the most important things that you need to know in the very particular material that you are cutting is the RI, or the refractive index of the stone that you are cutting. But now, the refractive index of fractometer, or even you can the RI, the refractive index of your stone. So now this is the simplest way to estimate and put it on a scale of course. So if you get a piece of quartz, let the size of that piece of quartz that you have be very, very close, to that piece of material that you want to cut, which you don't know the RI. Let them be physically almost the same size, and then put that piece of quartz on the scale and weigh it. If their weight is very, very close, that means that the refractive index of that material is the refractive index of that material that you have. Then you cannot cut that material on a diagram. Okay, you want to say something? Tinu, you want to say something? All right. Can you hear? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, Reverend, we can hear you. Just go ahead.
Okay,
I think it's from
okay.
another participant's background noise.
Okay,
Please, let's
okay,
mute
okay.
our speaker. As you join, please kindly mute your speaker.
All
You
right.
can go ahead.
So, all right. So, okay. So now, what I'm saying is that if you want to estimate the RI, that's the refractive index of a material that you want to cut, you cannot use your refractometer to measure the RI of a rough stone. It has to be cut and polished before you can use your refractometer. So now, and I've already told you that the angle on your pavilion is very, very critical. So, and that angle on your pavilion, is relative to the refractive index of your stone, because you need to cut, based on the refractive angle of the material that you are using. So for example, if you have a diagram and they tell you this is for RI 1.54, that means it is for quartz. And then you have a material, you don't know the refractive index of that material, and you want to cut it in that design. So take that material, weigh it on the scale. When you weigh it on the scale, then get a piece of quartz that is almost the same size physically with that material, and then weigh that piece of quartz. If the difference in weight is very, very little, then the refractive index is close to that of quartz. So you can cut it in that angle for quartz. But if the difference in angle, let's say, in weight, let's say is much, let's say that piece of course is almost the same size physically with that material and is weighing 1 gram, and then the other material is weighing like 1.5 to 2 grams, you know that the Ri for that material is much higher than that of course. So you look for a diagram that is designed, or you modify the same diagram, on the pavilion, and then cut, so that you can be able to get a very good performance from your cut. So as a basic rule, the higher the height of a stone, the lower the angle you can cut on your pavilion. For example, I told you that you should not cut your course lower than 41 degrees. That's the lowest you can go on the pavilion. But mostly between 41 and 43 are the angles you use on your course material. And then if it is a stone that is higher in Ri, let's say a tourmaline, so you can cut tourmaline down up to 39 degrees and it will still perform. Why? Because it has a higher refractive index than the coarse material. So the Ri is very, very critical in determining the set of angles that you are going to cut. So you need to know how to estimate the Ri of a given material that you have, that you may not know the name. So because you don't know the name, so you are not able to assign a refractive index to that material. So the easiest way of estimating it is to weigh that material alongside a coarse material that is of almost the same size physically, and then you're going to know whether to cut it in an angle, with a normal course, with a diagram of a normal course angles, or maybe a diagram with lower sets of angles, so that it can accommodate the Ri that you have at hand. So we can move forward. All right, working with different tones and color saturations. So now this is very, very important. As a general rule, normally what we want to see in our stone is brilliant reflections. But not all color saturation will give you brilliant performance. There are some stones that have good color, but they are dark. They have dark overtones. They are not, the color is not vivid the way you would have seen it. But if you put a light through it, you will see a very beautiful, vivid color. It may be green, red, yellow, blue, whatever it is. And you see, this is very common in stones like garnet, sapphire, tourmalines. This is very, very common with them. So, but those type of stones also, you can be able to bring out some beauty out of them. So, in working with stones that are dark, let me start with dark stones. In working with stones that are dark, the best type of diagram to use for them are diagrams that have fewer facets and they have large surface areas, and preferably let the facets to each other. For example, if you have a dark tourmaline and you cut it in Jeff Graham's Smithsonian design. You're going to get, when you move it again, you're not going to see a full length of colors in your stone. But as you move the stone and at different angles, to your eyes, you are going to see flashes of the color of that stone. Why? What does that is because the parallel facets on the pavilion and then the parallel facets, on the crown also. So they just they just send in a huge volume of light on one facet onto the parallel pavilion facets, and so the lights now begin to move across the length of the stone, and they look very, very interesting and very beautiful. So the more you rock the stone, the more you see it's dark. It gets some reflection out of it. It is not going to be a brilliant cut, but it will give you flashes of color that are very, very pleasing to the eyes. So it's not always right or advisable to throw away or discard your dark stones. Okay, so of course there are some stones that are very dark and almost opaque. So those type of stones, there's very little you can do about it. I think the best you can do with those ones is to make them cabochon stones. So that is for dark stones. Then we move on to stones that have normal, let's say, vivid color saturations. They are not light and they are not dark. So these are the ideal stones, and these are the stones that almost every gem dealer or gem buyer want to get. So if you are cutting a vivid colored stone, the best design to give them is a brilliant design. So when you give them a brilliant design, the stone will perform very well, and there are going to be a light of play of light. It will have very high fire and a good scintillation and very, very pleasant. So normally these are the stones that are most highly priced in the market. So if you have a stone that have vivid color, give it a very good, brilliant design so that it may be in any shape. Every shape of cut that you do have designs that are brilliant, whether it is round, it is marquise, it is oval, it is pear, it is square. They all have brilliant designs. So look for a good, brilliant design and give it a very good cut, and you are sure to get a premium price for that type of stone. And then from there we now move on to colored stones. The best design I can recommend for light colored stones are stones that have light saturations. I recommend baryon designs. So a baryon design is very, very it does two things. One, it will preserve the color in your light saturated stone so that the color will not be washed out by the reflections. And then secondly, it also of the stone. So the weight of the stone, it will be increased by at least 30%. So I would have shown a diagram here, but I don't think that you can capture the diagram. Okay, so in a normal conventional design, you just cut the break facets on the girdle and the main facets on the girdle, and you come to the crown, you do the same thing. But in a baryon design, you cut another set of angles which are wide on the pavilion of the stone, and by so doing, they will push both the break facets and the main facets up deeper into the pavilion, and they will, by so doing, they have increased the depth of the stone. So by increasing the depth of the stone, they also increase the weight of the stone. So by increasing the weight of the stone, they also increase the value of the stone. So I recommend you cut your light colored stone, in baryon designs. The baryon design was actually developed by a diamond cutter called Basil Watermeyer. So the design was named after him and his wife. The name of his wife is Marion. So they now combine the two, baryon. So that is the reason we call it baryon designs. It was developed by Basil Watermeyer, and it was named after him and his wife. So if you are cutting a light colored stone, I prefer that you cut in baryon designs. So a lot of the design you get on the internet are baryon designs, because after Basil Watermeyer developed that design, he was actually a diamond cutter, and eventually those designs did not get to be used on diamonds. So the gem cutters like Fred Van Sant and Jeff R. Graham, they developed the concept of the baryon designs, and they developed series of baryon cuts for all shapes of stones, and that was how the baryon became very, very popular in gem cutting. So when you are cutting a light colored stone, I advise you to do it in a baryon cut. So you are going to get more color and you are going to get more weight. Your stone will have a greater depth. So we can move from there. Okay, now we are going to cutting for brilliance and cutting for color. So as I said before, that when you are going to cut a stone that has dark overtone, you limit the number of facets. For example, now, if you are cutting a dark garnet, give it large flat surfaces, flat facets on the pavilion and also on the crown. So those facets, because they are wide enough, they allow a large volume of light to go down to the pavilion. They will give you reflections of color. If it is a red garnet, you are going to see flashes of beautiful red, going to and fro inside the stone. So that is cutting for color, which is very, very important. So now, if you look at an emerald, no matter what brilliant cut you give to an emerald will not come out as a brilliant stone. So what do we cut in emerald? We cut emerald for color, not for brilliance. If you look at the emerald design, the emerald stone on the screen now, you will see that the beauty and the desirability of the stone is the green color and the shape of the stone. But when you look at the sapphire by the side, which is blue, you see that it has a lot of facets on the pavilion and it's reflecting from every direction. So the reason is because you cut sapphire for brilliance, not for color. So because the sapphire already has color, but it also has tremendous clarity that will be able to produce good brilliance. So, but for the emerald is not usually a high clarity stone, but it has a very green, desirable color. So we cut for color, to bring out that beautiful green that is in the stone. Even though it may not reflect light like the sapphire, but it is very, very desirable to the eyes. So that is what we call cutting for color and cutting for stone. I mean for brilliance. And then there are stones that are not transparent. They may come in translucent or an opaque. Example, if you take your carnelian or the turquoise that is on our screen, you cannot facet it into a brilliant stone. You cannot even facet it for color. What you need to do is you cabochon it, you cut it as a dome, and the beauty of the blue will come out, and the luster will also come out. All the roughness is removed from it, and it becomes desirable to the eye. For a stone like opal, 90% of opal are not faceted. Why? Because they have fissures or tiny cracks within that make them not to be faceter friendly. And they are also highly heat sensitive, so you cannot dub them with hot wax. Normally they are dubbed with cold doping using epoxy. So stones like opal that have tiny fissures or cracks within, you cut them for color. So, and normally you use them for cabochon of different rainbows playing within the stone. So that is the importance of cutting for brilliance and cutting for color. So you need to distinguish between which stone you can cut for brilliance and which stone you can cut for color. All right, we can move forward. Thank you very much for joining us today. Tinu, I don't know if there are people that have questions.
Yes, Reverend, we have some questions there.
Okay.
So, straight to the questions now.
Okay.
Okay, I think I had a network issue somewhere. I logged out and logged in again. So I think I missed some questions, but I could remember someone was asking about 2 questions, but Mr. Gerard has responded to the person. So the only question I can see here now, if there are other questions, please, you can still type it in, or you use the hand button to raise your hand if you have a question or contribution to this presentation we just had from Reverend Zephaniah. You can raise up your hand while we unmute you so that we can hear your voice. So, but we have a question from...
Tinuke, can you please read the questions that were answered by Gerald and also Gerald's response for the benefit of everybody? Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Larry, are you there? Hello, Larry. Because I logged out, my internet was bad. So by logging him back, I can't find those questions again. So, Larry, if you have those questions there, can you read them out and the answers?
Okay. Okay, I think the first question is by Apps or Web. Please, what is Griddle? And Mr. Gerard's response is, Griddle is the boundary between the pavilion.
Larry, please speak up. We cannot hear you.
Okay, sir. The first question by Apps or Webs is asking, please, what is a griddle? Mr. Gerard's response to him is, griddle is the boundary between the pavilion and the crown part of a finished gemstones. is the griddle that rests on the bezel of the ring of a ring?
That's Gado. Gado, not Gido.
Okay, okay, that's a very good question. And the answer that was given also is correct. But let me just put it in a simple way. If you have a gem diagram, you see a labeling on that gem diagram, and you see the crown and you see the pavilion. So there's a straight line between the crown and the pavilion, and that is what is called the Gedu. So the Gedu actually is the main purpose of the Gedu is to give bearing to the crown from the pavilion. Because when you cut your
Yes.
your pavilion and angles at the pavilion angles without a very good Gedu. So you need a perfect Gedu in order to get a very good correspondence between the crown and the pavilion.
Okay. The
Yeah.
second question. In the second slide, precision diagram, what app is used on the computer for precise designs, or was it cutting? In the second slide, precision diagram, what app is used on the computer for the precise designs, or was it cutting? Okay. Maybe I should share the slides again. Okay. This is the second diagram. So it's asking the app used for the designs. Hello, sir.
Okay, Mary, go ahead. I think we have an answer to that from Mr. Gerald.
Okay. Okay, the response is computer generated diagram is used for a precision cutting like Mr. Ndaja have explained, but that will not be possible if the master doesn't adhere to the laid down principle of midpoint face setting as found in the gem diagram. Okay, another question by Mr. Ruben Kifasi. The presentation sounds fairly technical. Is there opportunity for introductory lectures for better understanding? That's one. And secondly, how does one assess the required equipment that will require, this will require practical and hands-on approach?
Okay.
Then there's another question asking if, can we assess,
Okay, Reverend, can we have an answer to Mr. Ruben Kifasi? Reverend, are you there? Hello? Okay, unmute your speaker. We can't hear you. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so what I was saying is that the presentation will sound technical to those that are not familiar, let's say, with a faceting machine or a faceting process. But as for the issue of whether there can be a lecture or maybe practical training. Leave that to our Adesoji. He is capable enough to organize any kind of training that we want, that they may be desired by the members of the platform, so that we can be able to at least, proceed from the theory to the practical of the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Reverend. So I have
Yes.
Salisu Nasiruddin raising up his hand. Salisu, you can unmute yourself if you have question or contribution.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, it's just a technical error. I'm not raising up my hand. I'm just having some technical issues there. I joined late, very
Yeah,
late.
we can hear.
Can you speak louder? We can't hear you.
So I joined very, actually I joined late, so I don't have much, I don't have any questions to answer. It's just a technical
Thank
error.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Olayinka Odekunle, you're also raising your hand, so you have the floor now. Olayinka, are you contributing or you're asking a question? Okay. Since there are no any other questions in the chat forum, I think we've probably come to the end of today's presentation. So, Prof, any contribution?
Yeah, let me thank Zeph for a wonderful presentation and also the contributions made by everybody, especially Gerald. And I'm very happy that this is a very good start for us. We will continue to learn. Learning is a definite way for us to establish our sector. And we're happy that people like Zeph that we look up to are contributing their time. And these sessions, I think GMAN and Jean should continue to ensure that we can help ourselves by deepening the knowledge within the sector. The more we deepen the knowledge, the more jobs for all of us, definitely. And I believe that it's time for us to take this sector into our own hands and develop it the way we want. Waiting for people to do it for us, it may never happen. Either government or outsiders from Nigeria, but those of us who are already established in this sector should take it as a must to deepen knowledge in this session for the benefit of everyone. That way the market will become bigger, people will be able to understand what we are talking about. There will be more people joining up, and we'll be able to expand the market for the benefit of everyone, especially our country. Thank you. I was wondering if Juma is around. Juma, are you around? Thank you very much, Zeph. We expect a second version to this sometimes in future. And we expect other people in the jewelry industry to please come up with their programs for the benefit of everybody. Thank you, and God bless everyone.
Thank you very much, Prof. We are grateful to you for providing this platform to us. But I think while you were speaking, Olayinka wanted to ask his question. I don't know if he's still there. His question.
Olayinka, please go ahead and ask your question.
Okay.
Gerald, would you like to say something?
Before Olayinka comes up.
Okay. Yes, boss. Yes, but just a few words of encouragement. I sincerely want to thank you, the boss, the coordinator of this program, for making it possible. And I also want to thank all the hands behind the scene, Madam Tinuke, Madam, and everybody. Mr. Ndaja, who has also worked assiduously to make this program possible. This is just the beginning of good things to come for GMAN. And we must all put hands together to make this a reality. Thank you, Mr. Ndaja. And may God continue to bless all of us.
Thank you, Gerald, for your support and for the contribution. It was great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. I just wanted to also add that this webinar was recorded, so we can always access it through the ACCI Best Center YouTube channel. So for those of us that joined late, or if you still want to learn more and go back to everything that Reverend Zephaniah said, or you still want other people to gain from this webinar, it was recorded while it was going on. So you can always access it through our YouTube channel at ACCI Best Center on YouTube. Thank you very much. Thank you to all the participants and to our presenter for today. We hope to come your way soon.
Thank you very much, Manatino.
Thank you very much, Tinu. Thank you for your time and your effort, and thank you for the coordination. It was great and wonderful.
Thank you very much. So let's keep staying safe. Let's adhere to all the NCDC COVID-19 rules so that we'll be free from coronavirus. Thank you very much.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.